Hello, my name is Olbengo Seth and we are the group 5 members. We are going to present to you Byzantine civilization and we have Wede Machuma Esther, we have Sharon Kibor and Sharon Etiang. So just bear with us as we go on to present to you this civilization. Thank you. Welcome again, and I'm going to take you through the introduction of Byzantine civilization. And so, when you talk about Byzantine civilization, we have to understand what is Byzantine civilization, their empire, and how they worked. So, the Byzantine Empire is in some ways a misnomer. People who lived during the Byzantine Empire did not describe themselves as Byzantines. They thought of themselves as Romans. And so the Byzantine Empire is what modern historians call the Eastern Roman Empire, as it existed after the late 4th century AD. And the Roman Empire had two halves. The eastern half used Greek as its official language, while the western half used Latin. So the Roman Empire, they had two halves, the Eastern and the Western. And so the Eastern Empire, as we have been told, used the Greek as the official language, and the Western Empire used Latin language. And then beginning in the late 3rd century, these two halves began to gradually drift apart and were increasingly governed. By the late 4th century, there were two different emperors, one in the east and one in the west. After the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD, the Eastern Roman Empire continued on until it was conquered by the Ottoman Empire in 1453 AD. But the Byzantine Empire is not usually considered by modern historians to be part of the era of Roman civilization. Most scholars classify it as a medieval civilization. So, and from there we are going to the history of the Byzantine Empire, and there I'm going to welcome the next presenter to take you through the history of the Byzantine Empire. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Sharon Kibor and I will be taking you through the history of the Byzantine Empire and its characteristics. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire became the most powerful state in the Mediterranean region. These states were relatively short-lived. In the 17th century, the Islam, a religion that was founded in the Arabian Peninsula, began to spread rapidly across much of Asia and North Africa. As a result, it acquired more and more Byzantine territory. The Byzantine Empire, and especially its capital city, remained a major center of art, learning, and culture throughout most of the Middle Ages. The Byzantine were Catholic, but a number of political and religious differences emerged between Byzantine Christians and the Catholic Church. In 1054, the Great Sikhism occurred. The Sikhism led to a new branch of Christianity being formed in Byzantine Empire. This new religion is now called the Eastern Orthodox faith. Despite the animosity between Catholic Church and the Byzantine Empire, the empire was faced with an onslaught by the Turks. The Byzantine Empire asked the Pope in Rome to help defend a fellow Christian nation. This request sparked the Crusades, a centuries-long conflict between Christians and Muslims. The Crusades would ultimately lead to further weakening of the Byzantine Empire and were almost one of the causative factors in its collapse. I'll be taking you through the characteristics of Byzantine Empire. Byzantine civilization was the most influential and enduring civilization in human history, and here are some of its characteristics. First was religion. Byzantine civilization was heavily influenced by religion, especially Christianity. The Eastern Orthodox Church played a central role in Byzantine life, and its influence can be seen in everything from art to architecture to law and politics. Second is art and architecture. Byzantine art and architecture are known for their intricate design and vibrant colors. And the most famous example of Byzantine architecture is the Hagia Sophia, a massive church that later became a mosque and is now a museum in Turkey. Trade. Byzantine civilization was a major center of trade, connecting the East and West. Its strategic location allowed it to control key trade routes, and its merchants were known for their skill in commerce. And the fourth one is education. Byzantine civilization placed a high value on education. Many universities and schools were established through the empire, and literary rates were high. Byzantine scholars made significant contributions to fields such as philosophy, mathematics, and science. Characteristic is the military. The Byzantine Empire had a powerful military, which was essential to its survival. Its soldiers was highly trained and organized, and they employed advanced tactics and weaponry. Six is government. The Byzantine government was centralized and bureaucratic. It was led by an emperor, and his power was absolute. And he was advised by a council of ministers. And the legal system was based on Roman law. And the empire was divided in provinces, for example, governed by a governor. And the last one is language. The Byzantine civilization was multilingual. It had two languages. The first was Greek, being the primary language. Latin was also spoken, particularly in western parts of the empire. Greek became the language of scholarship and diplomacy, and it remained an official language of the Byzantine Empire until its fall in 1453. And that is the end of my presentation, and I will be welcoming the next presenter.
I'm Wede Esther Machuma, going to take you through the Byzantine culture. The Byzantine culture influenced many cultures, primarily due to its role in shaping Christian Orthodox. The modern day Eastern Orthodox Church is the second largest church in the world. Orthodox is the central of the history and society of Greek, Bulgaria, Serbia, and other countries. Byzantine architecture, particularly in religious building, can be found in diverse regions from Egypt to Russia. During the Byzantine Renaissance from 867 to 1050, art and the literature flourished. Artists adopted a naturalistic style and complex technique from ancient Greek and Roman art and mixed it with Christian themes. The Byzantine art from this period had a strong influence on the later painter of the Italian Renaissance. In the period following the sacking of the Constantinople in 1204, and the fall of Constantinople in 1453, the people migrated out of the Constantinople. Among these immigrants were many Byzantine scholars and artists, including the grammarians, artists, scribes, philosophers, politicians, and theologians. The exodus of these people from this from these people from Constantinople contributed to revival of Greek and Roman studies, which led to the development of Renaissance humanism and science. The Byzantine culture, we are going to look at the role of women. When we say somebody, a woman is a pillar in the family and the entire nation. In the Byzantine Empire, we can see that women were among the upper classes and largely expected to supervise the family home and raise children. Indeed, women have the role to supervise the family and take care of the children. When we see the home without a woman, really children can suffer and the home looks very awkward without a woman. Among the Byzantine, those who had worked for a living did so in the most of the industry and the period from manufacture period from manufacturing to hospitality. Although they were they were the minority, and some women did manage to rise above the limitation imposed to them by the male-dominated culture and usually successful businesswomen. Writers, philosophers, and even embrace who ruled as regents or in their own right. Example, the embrace, Theodora, Irene, and Zoe, the biographer, and Anne Kamene, Hypatia, the philosopher, and the Cassia, the philosopher. So we can see that the following women embrace Theodora, Irene, and Zoe among the Byzantine Empire came up and overpowered the limitation imposed to them by the men who dominated the culture. This has been the role of the women among the Byzantine civilization. I'm going to welcome the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello, I'm going to take you through the reason for the collapse of the Byzantine Empire. First, the Battle of Manzikert in the year 1071. This is arguably the most decisive battle of Byzantine history and the eyes of many historians. It marked the beginning of the end by the empire. By 1070, the Seljuk Turks had replaced the Arabs as the main Muslim threat. However, they were one of the several enemies by Byzantine had to cope with in the 11th century. The Bulgars and the Normans would have kept the Eastern Roman Empire's hand full by themselves, but the added threat of Seljuk Turks was seemingly too much to handle. Second, the Crusades. After the Battle of Manzikert in 1071, the Byzantine Empire's military was in a terrible state. Alexis I became emperor in 1081 and realized that he needed help from West if he was to rebuild his shattered empires. This was awkward given that relations between the East and West were less than friendly since the East-West schism of the year 1054, which involved a break of communion between the Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches. Thirdly, constant strain and internal affairs. Although the Byzantine Empire lasted over a millennium, it was riddled with crises almost from the very beginning. A combination of infighting, disease, and natural disaster served to prevent the empire from expanding, weaken it, and ultimately cause its decline at various stages. It was an extraordinary resilient empire, but the accumulation of issues ultimately led to its diminution. Also, there was weak military. In the early Middle Ages, the Byzantine Empire boosted superior military technology to Western Europe and possessed an enormous standing army by the standard of the time. As it was an incredibly wealthy empire, it could afford to hire machineries in times of need. In the later stages of the empire, its enemies had got up regarding technology and by the Byzantine, and the Byzantine army dwindled in size. Finally, the Ottomans. Michael VIII became empire in the year 1259 and regent Constantinople within 2 years. He was not highly regarded in Byzantine history despite being an accomplished ruler, perhaps because he murdered his way to the top, although his attempt to unite the Catholic and Orthodox churches also made him an unpopular figure. Michael managed to end the Latin Empire, but his death in the year 1282 probably extinguished the last fleeting hope of revival. And I'm going to welcome the next presenter. Thank you.
Now, finally, we have come to the end of our presentation, and here is just a conclusion on the work which the presenters have presented to you. Hope you go through it and understand it very well. And in conclusion, you can say that the Byzantine civilization was a remarkable period in history that left a lasting legacy on the world. It was a time of great art, architecture, and literature, as well as political and religious developments. And so the Byzantine Empire was a major force in the Mediterranean region for centuries, and its influence can still be seen today. Its legacy of religious tolerance, political stability, and cultural diversity has been an inspiration to many. The Byzantine civilization is an important part of world history that should not be forgotten. Thank you for your time.